Hi, I'm Brenda Shavito, and this is You Are Not Alone, the show for news, tips, and stories of hope for those who may be struggling with addiction. My guest today is Leslie Holt. Leslie is the founder and executive director of A Child's Light. It's a nonprofit ensuring that children experiencing trauma receive timely access to professional trauma-informed therapy. She is motivated through personal experience and has a passion for protecting our most vulnerable. Leslie is a trusted advocate and community leader. Her work bridges families, schools, law enforcement, and mental health providers to ensure no child waits for hope or healing. It is my pleasure to welcome Leslie Holt to our show. Leslie, thank you so much for being here today. It's great to see you.
Oh, Brenda, thank you for having me. I so appreciate it.
I'm so glad you cut out time in your busy schedule. So tell us a little bit more about what led you to start A Child's Light.
So I'm not sure if I had told you this before, but I was a victims advocate for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I worked at the Crime Victims Center, and with all of the incredibly good things that happen there, as you would imagine, long-term care for kids who have gone through really horrible experiences, mm-hmm. It drops off. Because that's just the nature of crisis. Mm-hmm. So working with women and children primarily, I just saw that they needed a lot more support. Mm-hmm. And so I decided that I was going to leave that position and start A Child's Light. We originally started as a different nonprofit and then changed the name. But, and so what we do is, we fund kids, between the ages of 2 and 18 mm-hmm. who have experienced, unfortunately, horrible trauma. And we're talking sexual assaults, mm-hmm. physical, abuse, and kids who have suicidal ideation. And unfortunately, we've had to expand our mission because many of our kids have lost one or both parents mm-hmm. to substance use disorder, mm-hmm. to fentanyl poisoning.
Right.
And so probably half of the kids that we fund to get mental health treatment have experienced that.
And that was a good point of why I even said, well, come on the show, because here we have this, this area with children experiencing trauma and the ways that children are encountering trauma. And people need to know that there are a lot of grandparents
yes.
out there raising children who've experienced this, or they're in foster care yeah. or other areas where they're being cared for. And there's a lot of unresolved trauma from these, like you say, these horrible experiences that they've had to face, and many of them at such a young age.
Yeah.
So, parents, unfortunately, like you said, one or both parents pass from a fentanyl overdose, and then what happens to these children?
Yeah. And so a lot of them, I'll just tell you a quick story. I just had this call yesterday afternoon. It was from a grandmom who was, she had a background in childcare. So she's seen many of the experiences that, our kids go through. But she called because she was looking for mental health treatment for her granddaughter. And because mom is having her own struggles, mm-hmm. can't really care for this grandchild. And so the grandchild, unfortunately, dad is out of the picture. Mm-hmm. didn't really want her anyway. And so now this little one is starting to misbehave in school and has pretty severe anger management. And just all of the diagnoses that go along with that.
Right.
And really what it is the trauma that she has experienced living mom's life with her. And so, so this grandmom had unfortunately called over 50 mental health providers. And could not find one. So she actually called the police department, her police department, and said, do you have anybody that you can think of that can help me? And thank heavens, the police department knew about us and said, you know what, you might want to call Child's Light. So we're going to, but the really heartbreaking thing about this was, as I said, this was a grandmom who totally has it together. She was in a situation where she was considering selling her car so that she would be able to afford to get this grandbaby into counseling.
Wow.
This is these are the stories that we get every day. And you know, I might not have said this, I don't know, 5 years ago, but that's the one thing that I believe that every child should have access to is mental health treatment, and the earlier the better.
Sure.
You know, mental health problems don't happen when a child's 14.
Right.
Kids start facing challenges at a much younger age.
They're perpetuated over time. And when left unresolved, when issues are left unresolved, in my situation, when I have scholarship applicants applying for recovery house scholarships, I ask them to reflect, give me, you know, some background information, tell me about yourself. Many of them are exactly what you're saying. And these are definitely individuals over the age of 18 who are experiencing unresolved trauma. Now that they're in an inpatient situation, all these layers of the onion, all these, you know, layers of the onion are being peeled back, and there's getting down to the crux of exactly what you're saying. These unresolved trauma situations of, you know, the stepfather beating the mother, the sexual abuse, you know, somebody being shot in front of them. And there's no resolution to this. There's no attention being given to these children who are experiencing these horrific situations.
It's amazing, isn't it, that currently we still sort of go along with this mythical idea that kids will get over it. Kids are resilient. No, it's not that. It's they compartmentalize, they suppress, and we know from study after study that it's going to bubble up someplace else. And kids who have experienced sexual abuse are 10 times more likely to be intravenous drug users. And no one can afford to self-medicate anymore. You just can't.
No.
And so what we do is we work with, as you said, law enforcement, every nonprofit in Chester County, schools, guidance counselors, teachers, and as soon as they know that as soon as there's a pretty serious red flag with a child they come in contact with, that they can give us a call, and we'll work with them and with the parents or the caregivers.
So how does that happen now? Let's say, for instance, in a school scenario, a child presents or reveals something. Is that how it comes about?
Sometimes.
I mean, some kids have behavior issues, and it could be they're overactive. I mean, how does it really come to that point where there's really something serious?
Well, I think that too, and this is a really good time to make this point, is that 10 years ago, being trauma informed was not just the way everyone who came in contact with kids moved through that. Now it is. So the teachers, the guidance counselors, they're all trauma informed. And so that's the perspective that they're looking at these kids. So it's a heightened sense of,
awareness.
Right. And what else is going on with this kid?
Right.
And so they'll reach out to me and they'll say, well, he or she hasn't disclosed anything, but because it's normally not like just a full disclosure.
Right.
It's the little breadcrumbs.
Right.
And so for a guidance counselor or a teacher that's attuned to that kid, they can pick that up.
Right.
And either, give the parents or the caregivers, the grandparents, one of our brochures and say, you might want to look into this. Sometimes the guidance counselors will have the parents or caregivers in the office and they give us a call and we start the process.
Right.
But it's this awareness of possibly there's this child's experienced trauma. And let me tell you, so here's a statistic that I love my statistics. 61% of kids in Pennsylvania today will have reported, and this was according to the PAYS survey, the PA Youth survey. These kids, 61% of them are self-reporting that they are sad or depressed. Not once in a while, every day. So
that's huge.
Yes, and it puts them so at risk to say, you know what, let me just take this pill because my friend said that it makes him feel better.
Right.
We're setting these kids up to make them more susceptible.
Right. To problems later on.
Yes.
Like you said, in school and even beyond that, in relationships with others and as they mature and heaven forbid, like into marriages, and on and on. It perpetuates itself like it does even at the young age. It never goes away.
No.
It'll just perpetuate itself and then could be very explosive or like we've talked about, leads to addiction.
Right. And that
suicide.
is on the inside of our brochure is the ACEs study. Just those 10 questions.
What is the ACEs study?
So that stands for the Adverse Childhood Experiences. And when I'm out speaking, I'll give this to adults. Everybody gets a brochure and they open it up and there's those 10 questions and they get sort of an aha look on their face. Like, oh, yeah, I've experienced that. And so Dr. Vincent Folletti, who was the one of the scientists that worked on the ACEs study that was done out in California through Kaiser Permanente. And it was a huge study, 17,000 participants. And what they found was that there's a direct correlation between trauma and self-medicating. And so the two go hand in hand.
Sure.
We don't seem to, we understand that.
Right.
But it doesn't seem as if the powers that be are catching up to this.
It's not resonating more broadly.
No, it doesn't seem to be.
Right.
And it's a shame because now that there are so many, all of our therapists are trauma informed. Because what's the point if they're not?
Right.
And so I want them, the moment that they meet with a child, to look at that child through that perspective.
Right. And how does that whole process go from start to finish. You may get a referral, like you said, law enforcement. So it could be maybe domestic violence or sexual abuse where law enforcement does get involved. Or like you mentioned, through the school systems. Maybe it could be clergy, right? I mean, however it comes to you. So the call is made and then an intake, how does that come to be? They come to you or you go to them?
So I do the intakes. And so I'll have a conversation with the parent caregiver normally. They'll tell me what the history of the child is.
Okay.
And if, unfortunately, and I always pray that they don't really fit our criteria, but most of the calls that we get, they know already, the parents, the caregivers, the teachers, they know that there's been trauma.
Right.
Maybe not to the extent that they realize. And so that will come out in their therapy sessions. So when we decide that, they reach the level of trauma for us to be able to fund them, then I connect them to a private, licensed, trauma-informed therapist. And we, this is something that a Child's Light does that I don't believe that any other organization does. So what we do is we pay the therapist up front for 12 sessions.
Wow.
And
Great.
these therapists, and this is so important, Brenda, because we couldn't do a Child's Light without these therapists, because the therapists agree to work for a lower fee, sliding scale, and so they know with partnering with a Child's Light that they're going to be working with this child for a year.
Wow.
That's what we endeavor to do, is to keep these kids in therapy for 9 to 12 months at least.
So does Child's Light fund that commitment?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I thought you said 12 sessions, so you meant like 12 months.
Or 12 months.
Of counseling.
Yeah.
Probably like what? Like
because
once a week?
Yeah.
Is it like once a week?
And you know what? But I leave it up to the therapist. Like say we have a child who is talking about suicide. I say to the therapist, if you need to see that child 2 times a week, you do what is right for you and that child and that family, because we're about saving lives.
Sure.
Not about how much this is going to cost.
Right.
Because it is. It's going to, it's expensive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, private counseling,
But,
it's got to be.
Yes.
What is it now? Because I'm out of the realm of that.
It's
$150?
Yeah, $150, $200.
Like an hour.
Right.
And then insurances do or don't cover that?
Well, most of our kids, they don't have insurance, or they have Medicaid, and they get put on this list that is about 18 months long.
Right.
If you even get picked up. And a lot of the county contractors, which is where these families are sent to look for help, they say, we don't even have availability, and we can't tell you when we will.
So if there's to your point, an at-risk child who has suicide ideation, time is of the essence.
Yes. We
We don't have time to sit on a wait list and wait for maybe that call. It could be way, way too late by then.
Right. So we get kids into treatment normally 2 weeks.
So like in the course of maybe like a month, how many children do you service typically? And like right now, do you have an idea of the numbers?
So interestingly, there was, we have seen a really huge uptick. And that is because there was a county contractor. It was called the Child Guidance Resource Center, and it was right in Coatesville. And it had been there for 20 years.
Right.
And they decided to leave the county because they weren't going to be reimbursed in the way that they needed to continue doing business in the county. So they left.
So they were like a contracted service?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So I thought, naively, I thought that and they left in December. So I thought that we would see an uptick as soon as they were gone. No, that didn't happen. Now we're seeing the uptick. And probably this week, we have had, in the past few weeks, 7 kids that we have in therapy now. And 3 of them are in the same family, whereas before it was just one child per family. Now we're seeing whole families totally ripped apart.
Right.
And that's what it is. And these kids the parents are gone, and family members are just picking up these nieces, nephews. Sometimes these kids are living with friends of the parents who are deceased. And the thing about it, Brenda, is it's such a huge problem, but we don't talk about it because it's interconnected, intertwined with drug usage. And we want to just say, oh no, that's okay. The opioid crisis is over. And
not horrible.
And it's not the opioid crisis now. It's the fentanyl and the rest of the poisons that are taking these children's parents.
Right.
And so
it's generational.
Yeah. And so the other thing that we see is that a lot of times now the kids are living with the grandparents, and a lot of times it's just grandmom or just one grandparent. And because of the way that the parents were lost, other people don't want their kids playing with this child.
Wow.
So this stigma now, stigma follows the children.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So that's another way they're pigeonholed.
Right. And stigmatized.
Yes. And so it just it perpetuates, and it's just these kids, and they get into therapy and they work so darn hard. And they get better. They do.
Do they?
They do. They absolutely do.
Yeah. So at the end of this season of sessions, let's say it's 9 months a year, what do you see? Let's talk about all the good stuff, good outcomes.
So many good things
that happen because of your work.
So many good things. So just, I'll give you an example of just a little one. So this was a little boy who lost both of his parents. He's living with a friend of the mom's. And so this little guy has been in therapy for a year. And he was completely dysregulated. Like, this is the child who's in school. He's spitting at the teacher. He's biting. He's throwing chairs. And keep in mind, he's 6.
Wow.
This little guy was thrown out of 3 preschools because...
Unresolved trauma.
Yes. And dysregulated, and all of the things that go along with his situation. Last May, because he was in therapy, he was able to graduate from his little preschool.
Oh.
And so that was probably 6 months into therapy. Now to kind of give you another example, we had a girl. She was, I think probably we met her when she was close to 17. But when she was a little bit younger, she had been trafficked. She didn't. She didn't
another
even.
Problem.
Yes, she didn't even know she was being trafficked.
Of course not.
And so she was suicidal. She was cutting. She was doing all the things. And her mom was a single mom with another child. And mom somehow, and I'm not sure, maybe through school I don't remember now, to be honest, found out about a child's light and called me. English was not her first language, so when she called me, she was upset, and it was kind of a hard conversation to get through, but we did. And she was desperate for help for her 15-year-old. And so we got this little girl into services. I don't know, within a week probably, because it seemed like it was
urgent.
Yeah,
it was urgent.
And that little girl, well, she's this young woman now. She is enrolled in a university, and she's studying criminal justice because she wants to work for either the CIA or the FBI in, guess
Trafficking.
what? Yeah, human trafficking.
Well,
yes.
there you go.
So we went from trying to save her life to where she is now, to where she wanted to be. And now she's living her full potential.
Right.
Because we made a little bit of an investment in her.
Right.
And we said, you know what, we're going to hold space for you because we believe that you can do this, and you deserve to have all the good things in life. And
those are wonderful stories. It makes you feel good, like all that the work that you do is making a difference.
It totally is.
And do you have a is that part of your process? You try and, when you say track these kids, you try and keep some kind of in touch with them?
We do.
Yeah, once it's over.
We do.
And you can see where they're headed, where they are, where they're going.
We had another little boy. He was a little bit older, 11, 12 years old. And, the parents were split up. Mom had pretty severe mental health issues. And she moved out of the county, and the grandparents still lived in Chester County. And so they were able to get custody of this little boy. And now this is like a 12-year-old boy, would not leave his bedroom and asked that his grandparents put bars on the windows, on his bedroom windows, because he was afraid that his mother would come and get him. And take him back to where he was severely abused. And so we worked with him and with the family and the grandparents, and were able to get him slowly, to make just to get to the therapist's office and then back to the bedroom. And so that was a long process with an incredible therapist. And so he, that little boy and his grandmom stopped in to see the therapist, I guess probably about a month ago now. And he was playing football. And was living his best life as much as he could be. And, not without issues and challenges that come up. But here's the thing, Brenda, this is what we try to do. We try to give these kids, and that's why it's so important to me and to the organization, that these kids, that their first experience with mental health is a trauma-informed, licensed, seasoned professional, so that when these kids disclose, the therapist can easily work through this with them, and isn't like a deer in headlights. And so, because our purpose is, if they get a good, strong foundation, and say they are 6, 7 years old, and they actually feel better after the experience of therapy, that in the future, when they start to hit bumps again, and they will, they can say, you know what, I remember, I actually felt there, I had relief, and I'm going to go back again.
Well, it's identifying mental wellness, mental health as a part of our being, and the importance of our mind, body, and soul to be healthy and to have the nourishment and to have the guidance of others and people like yourself who truly and passionately care. And that's where it's at, you know, and that's why I give you so much kudos and praise, and to your therapists, because they're giving as well. And that is just what makes it so heartwarming to me.
Yes.
To intercept these kids before they end up calling on me when they're full-blown adults, 20s, 30s, 40s, with these terrible tragedies that were left unresolved.
Yes, and you know what?
So important.
And that's years of all of those bad experiences just digging a deeper neural pathway in their brain. So if we can resolve that earlier, or at least blunt it.
Right. Identify it.
Yeah.
And deal with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you quoted Desmond Tutu early on to me. Oh, do you know what that quote is? Because I thought it's a very powerful way to close.
I think that this really is the essence of a child's light. And so I have to read it to you because I don't want to make a mistake. This was actually credited to Marianne Williamson, but it was Desmond Tutu. So the quote is, "There comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in."
Perfect. That's beautiful.
I know, it is beautiful.
It's beautiful. Well, Leslie, let me ask you, if people want to get a hold of you or Child's Light, they can do it by yourself or your email, or how would they reach you?
So they can go to the website, www.childslight. It's just Child's Light, not A. Leave the A off. childslight.com. Or they can call 610-405-2968.
And that would be wonderful to have those services available. And I just thank you so much for coming today. And this has been great. And again, thank you for the work that you do and for the passion you have for our kids.
Well, thanks for letting me tell anyone about us.
That'll listen.
And yes, I appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of You Are Not Alone. If you or a loved one needs help or would like to donate, please visit us anytime at angelsagainstaddiction.org. And remember, you are not alone. I believe together that we can help save lives. Thank you.